What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Cloud Slayer channel. Hope you guys are doing well. Today is November 29th, 2023. One day away from my little sister being 23 years old. Holy buckets, the time flies, man. I remember when she was just born, little baby sister. Oh, man, it was my little monkey sister anyways, man. I won't go into much more detail, but, you know, she's in college. She's doing great. You know, she's out there, she's doing her best, you know, to hold it together, to do her best, to stay positive, you know what I mean? Stay positive and keep pursuing her dreams, you know? Random little things like that. And she just got her first job outside of, like, you know, like other entry-level jobs, like whatchamacallit, like a grocery store, Walmart or something like that, you know, or, you know, fast food restaurants, you know. So she's got into her first job doing early development with little kids, you know, stuff like that. So like kind of almost like a teacher, like, right, like a teacher's aide or something like that. So I believe she's getting real close to finishing up her degree and stuff like that. So, and she, you know, fucking real proud of her. Love my little sister to the end of the world, you know. I love all my siblings to the end of the world, whether we're close or not, whether, you know, there's things between us or not, you know, like there's always going to be some type of animosity, you know, whether that's a good way or a bad way, you know. So it's being an older sibling, it's kind of weird, right? Because life isn't always what you picture it's going to be, you know, like your family's going to be close-knit. Sometimes that's not the case, right? Sometimes you have a falling out, sometimes, you know, various things like that. But you try to stay positive and you try to pursue those things that you want to do. You try to live life the best way that you can, you know, and you just do your damnedest. You do your damnedest. You give her hell, and hopefully in the end, it all pans out, right? Hopefully it pans out, and you know, when it's your time to go, that you might have been able to do something that you actually enjoyed. You might have been able to, you know, hold it together for not only yourself but your own family, you know, because when you start having your own family, you know, sometimes, you know, if for whatever reason the other, you know, your old family, the ones that you grew up with, might not be around or something, you know. It's kind of weird, right? And you know, you don't owe anybody anything, though, you know. You got to keep that in mind. Sometimes when you're coming up, you feel like you owe people stuff, and you owe them life, you owe them whatever, 18 years of, you know, them raising you or some shit. You know, that's not the case, right? You don't owe them anything. It ain't like you, like, forced their hand to have you or something, you know what I mean? So, you know, you just gotta keep going on. You gotta keep going on and not stress yourself out with those things, you know. There's so much more to life than those types of stress, you know. Stress is a big killer, you know, especially you see it in like these other countries, Korea, Japan and stuff like that. Like there's like really high expectations, and if they don't live up to, you know, the expectations of the family, you know, sometimes they kill themselves and stuff like that, you know. A lot of times it's actually pretty common, right? Because they're stressed out from their life of trying to make mom and dad happy or some crap like that, or not just mom and dad, but, you know, themselves, because they put a high expectation on themselves, and when life doesn't go that way, they, you know, to them it's considered a failure. They're considered almost nothing, you know, and then you know, the stress just kills them. They kill themselves for it, or, you know, some people they work so hard, and, you know, they're trying to balance life and work, and, you know, work takes a big toll out of them because, you know, maybe maybe they're a single parent or something, you know, and they're doing their best to not lose everything that they have, to not lose, you know, their children, not to lose, you know, just their apartments to their house or something like that, you know. Not everybody's fortunate enough to become a little bit more successful, you know. Not everybody, you know, can spend a lot of time with their family, and you got to be, you know, grateful for that. Not, you know, like they're not fortunate enough to have both parents or something like that, but gotta, you know, even if you're one of those people, you can't let that discourage you, you know. You gotta try your best to keep going, you know. That's life, right? And sometimes people come and go out of your life, people pass away and stuff like that too, you know, because a lot of times when people are left, it's not because the people that want to be in their life. Sometimes it's you know, it was their time to go, you know, sickness, all that kind of stuff, you know, accidents, car accidents and stuff like that. And it's unfortunate, you know. And for people in those situations, it's terrible, right? Absolutely terrible. There was this one chick that I met, she bartender, you know, she was putting herself through college at the time, but she lost both her parents at a young age. I think she was in like middle school, high school, you know, end of middle school and going into like high school and stuff like that. And I talk about this because, you know, I was sulking in a bar and she was telling me her story about that, you know, and like, hey man, hold your head up. You don't worry about that. Life's not that tough, you know. And, you know, it's one of the beginning stages I've realized where I was having a drinking problem, you know, and stuff like that. And, you know, she's talking about that and how she lost her parents, both of them at the same time, you know, and still put herself through school and stuff like that. You know, when you're sitting there and you're gonna feel bad about something and, you know, cry about some of these things that's happening in your life, you know, you got to move on, you know, you got to carry on. There's always going to be somebody that had it worse than you, you know, people that had virtually nothing, you know, and they still have to keep going, you know. That's life, that's human nature, you know. Sometimes you start out with nothing and you end with it all, I guess. And be like somebody like Manny Pacquiao, you know. What is he, the governor of the Philippines now? Stuff like that. Well, he has been for a while. Boxing legend, one of the greatest to ever, you know, put on a pair of boxing gloves, you know. And he started out as a kid with nothing, you know. His dad ate their dog because they literally had no food, you know. And that's when he decided to move out. He's like, fuck this is getting too rough, you know. It probably wouldn't be uncommon for people to resort to cannibalism, you know, even from their like kids and stuff like that from there, I'm guessing. You know, it's scary to think about because people would do that, you know, if they're hungry enough and they have nothing, you know. So a person like that got out of there and started boxing, you know. He had to put rocks in his shorts to make himself heavy enough to fight in certain weight classes because he was simply too small. And then, you know, rest was history. He's winning fights and whooping people's asses and stuff like that. It's like they say, it's not about the size of the dog in the fight. It's about the size of the fight and the dog, you know. And people like, I don't know. It's tough because they talk about like weight classes and stuff like that, but sometimes it doesn't matter, man. You see some of these big dudes get beat up by some smaller guys. You know, it just takes one punch to your chin. You know, you let your guard down for a split second, and that person's gonna knock you out. You know, they could kill you. They could do whatever. You know, it's scary. Life can change in a matter of seconds, nanoseconds, even. You know, milliseconds. Who knows? It's just, you know, that just luck of the draw, I guess. You know. There's, I don't know. I had my cousin where he got pistol whipped and almost died, you know, and brain damage and stuff like that, brain bleeding and whatnot. And, you know, because when I was growing up, those same cousins, his older brother that pistol whipped him, he talked about, like, just seeing people get pistol whipped, you just get back up after like a couple minutes or something, and you're just fine. So, you know, I can only imagine that this is probably the first time I've actually seen somebody get pistol whipped, and it's like, you know, they're just saying, you know, you don't know what the fuck he's talking about, and you don't know the potential dangers of some of your actions sometimes. You just see shit in the movies, and, you know, you think that's real, and you think that's, like you watch John Wick or some shit, you're getting shot 20 million times in the movies, and, you know, you just get back up. Yeah, I don't think none of that's real, you know. That John Wick, that's based off of a comic book. Highly over-exaggerated, you know. It's a good movie to watch or whatever, but, you know, how many people are actually capable of doing that? Not very many. You might hear some, like, Medal of Honor recipients recount some of their stories of when they were at war and stuff like that, getting shot and swimming for miles, and, you know, got shot like 6 times and stuff like that, in the leg, thigh, and the calf, and the butt, and all this kind of shit, and still managing to swim miles, and with, like, swimming with somebody that they're saving, you know, and, you know, some miraculous thing like that, and you're like, holy crap, but, you know, it's never going to be like something like John Wick in real life, you know. In real life, you might get shot one time and you're dead, you know? And I don't know. It reminds me of a video that I seen where this guy was, you know, he pulled out a knife to some cops in the middle of the street. Cop, bam, one shot, instantly died, you know? There's times where people just get punched one time, you die, you know? Might get put in a coma, you know, brain damage for the rest of your life. You might not be able to tie your own shoes. They had that famous boxer that was taking blows to the back of the head. This guy, he took out the padding in his gloves, so he's basically punching him bare knuckles, right? And, you know, you got a big advantage if you go bare knuckles as opposed to a padding, you know? And the guy ended up suffering like really bad brain damage and ended up dying as a result of that, you know? And really sad shit. I just seen that some guys, one of these rappers' bodyguards, you know, couple of them. First, this guy just came up for an autograph, and one of them punched sucker punched him from the back, you know, bam, hit him in the jaw. He stiffened up right away. He was out, and then his second guard was standing in front of him to start swinging on him while he was out, standing there, out, and then bam, he falls back, hits his head on the concrete, and it sounds like they're gonna have like a big civil lawsuit about that, you know? So, well, as big as it's gonna get for that guy, I guess, but for that rapper, I don't even know who that is, but, you know, it's scary shit. One moment you're sitting there, you're a fan, you're asking for an autograph, and, you know, his buddies, his goons, or whatever you want to refer to them as, fucking sucker punches you and fucking almost kills you. Who knows? I think the dude's still in the hospital right now, but, you know, almost kills the guy. For what? Because the guy asked for an autograph, you know? Like, come on now, that's some funky stuff, man. That's messed up. That's beyond disturbing, you know? I don't know, like, what do you do in those situations, you know? Is that the rapper's fault? Is that entirely the security guards or his buddies or whatever they are? You know? Where does the fault really lie? It depends on if the guy who hired him told him to do it, I guess, but it didn't look like it, but he did nothing to prevent it, you know, as there was a big delay in between the first guy knocking him out and the second guy starting to punch him, because there was like at least 2 seconds where they stood there and they're looking, and then he's like, bam, bam, starts swinging on him some more. I was like, the dude, you know, dude was defenseless, so, and then bam, hits his head, so, it's scary stuff. They talk about it all the time, you know, a lot of people, they die like that, you know. we seen that one. I seen this other video where this guy, his girlfriend, like threw a drink on him or something. He punched her. She went back. Her head like folded behind after she hit the oven, and you know, it reminded me of that He Got Game where Denzel Washington's in it, where you know he pushes his wife and she just hits her head onto the oven and she dies. You know, that's how easy it is. Out of anger, he pushed her and killed her on accident. You know, just because he couldn't handle his emotions, and because he had to be a certain way, you know, had to assert his dominance or whatever that means, you know, and it resulted in the death of one of the people he loved the most, and stuff like that. And you know, that lady could have easily died too, you know, hit her head, bam, broke her neck or something, you know, when your head snaps back that far. Oh man, that's how fast life changes for people, you know, flash of a blink of an eye, flash of an eye, flash, blink. But you know, it can be hard to stay positive when because people grow up in those situations, you know. People around here, people around everywhere, you know, all over the world. Some people see it worse than others, you know, especially if they're in, like, you know, different places that are getting bombed right now, you know. Who knows, you know, because we only see what we see over here, you know, which there's some horrible stuff here in the States too, but, you know, there's more lawlessness in other countries, other places in this world. And the only thing that divides us is what the country's named, you know, who's the leader of whatever governments, you know, and stuff like that. But, you know, government can't always be there for everybody when they're going through their tough times and stuff like that, you know, because there is lawlessness in a lot of areas, because, you know, there simply isn't enough cops to be everywhere. And even so, even some cops are, you know, they commit crimes too, and it gets covered up, you know. Like I said, I respect cops a lot, but my last one, I talked about how there are asshole cops, you know, because it's true, they're human beings like everybody else, stuff like that, you know. We had one that was, when I was at the casino, you know, he eventually got fired because they caught him lying and shit, because he said, you know, he hit a deer or some shit, but he was really drinking and driving a squad car and hit like a snowbank and shit. So they got all on film and they knew he was lying, and they were like mad about it. And I was like, I remember when some girl was coming out because he was stalking this one girl, threatening her life and stuff like that. And they don't want to say nothing because they're not gonna do nothing to their own like that when, you know, oh, well, your text message don't mean nothing. How were you leading them on and all this stuff? It's a girl's fault, right? And she's a flirt. It's like, by working in the deli, you fucking get hit. Like, this is the dumbest shit I ever heard. And I'm like, oh, okay, so this is how life works. Life isn't always like how they say, where you got to speak up, because sometimes the aggressor can be somebody that's in a position where, you know, no matter what, somebody they're going to make excuses, you know. It's probably not till frickin' they rub another cop the wrong way is when they'll get theirs, you know. So it sucks. It's sad. It's true, and it happens. You know, it happens more often than people know. Because that same cop, you know, they were talking about how he would sleep with little girls, 14-year-old girls too, one night while he's off duty, and then the next night he'd go bust them and you know, get them locked up for getting minors and stuff like that. And it's like, it's some sick shit, man. It's really sick, and it happens, you know, especially in like small, you know, out of city towns and stuff like that, and reservations and stuff like that too. Where sometimes the parents, they just don't give a fuck, you know, they don't care about their kids. Which I'm not saying it's all, you know, all res families, because it's not, because there's a lot of great parents out there that do live on the reservation, that are on the reservation, that are doing the best that they can to be there for their kids, you know, and they're working goddamn hard out there. But there are some, you know, like anywhere else in this world, where they don't give a fuck. all they care about is drugs and alcohol and, getting some ding-a-ling. Had this one buddy, he was sleeping with this one chick. He was cheating on his girlfriend who was like his corrections officer or some shit like that. It's like she was helping him get straight or whatever. Like got him a car and all this shit, right? And he ended up he was blaming her, and then you hear him talking to other people. Oh, it's all my fault because I'm just I'm a sleaze. And then he'll talk to other people. He's all over the place. He's just a guy that couldn't really take accountability for his own actions. And he was an older guy too, old guy, just shitty mentality, right? And no accountability. But he was talking to the lady on the phone one day before work. I was like, tell your daughter about me. And it was like, her daughter was like underage and shit like that. And he was talking about how they were planning a 3-way and stuff like that. And I'm like, dude, that's fucking sick. Like whose mom is okay with that? You know what I mean? Yeah. It exists out there, man. It fucking exists, and it's fucking disgusting. But oh man, disgusting, right? Disgusting, and it's tough, man. It's tough. I had an uncle. He's a piece of shit too. My mom said he was good to her when she was a kid, but he had his own kids when I was growing up, and I hated going over there. He was a fucking ass monkey, He was nice in front of my mom, but when she was away, threats and all that shit, obviously. I'm like, I don't want to be around these motherfuckers. But my mom made me stay the night there once, and I was like, holy fuck. I just wanted to go home, man. I just didn't want to be there. I don't know what they did. Date night, and give me another brother or sister or whatever. And they knew how much of a piece of shit he was. They knew that he was touching on his own kids. Didn't give a fuck, right? Yeah, but I mean, he didn't touch me or anything like that. So, but I'm sure he knew I would have told my parents or something. So, but he's molesting his own children, his sons, his daughters, and I mean, he disappeared years ago. So many people just assumed he died. Don't know. Never found his body. Nobody's come in contact with him since. He could be just started a different life. We don't know that. We don't know shit. I don't really care to know, fuck that guy. He's a piece of shit, right? And stuff like that. So, yeah, it's sad, some of these things that people are capable of that are even in your own family, I don't know. He molested my cousins too, and stuff like that. And like the oldest one, and then she was molesting her little brothers and sisters when they were kids. And then mom, at these times, they taught you not to speak out. They taught you not to say shit. They would beat you. Your own parents would beat you because you shouldn't speak out to your family because they would take you away. That was their main point, was you could get taken away, you got to suffer with it. And it's like, what the fuck ideology is that, dude? So she would beat her kids for speaking out about being molested and being touched on and shit too, I mean, these cousins, they end up growing up as like my brothers and sisters and shit. But then, as adulthood happened, they went back to their mom and stuff like that, and their sister that touched on them, and I'm assuming they forgave them, but you would hear them sometimes, because our family would always fist fight, and a lot of families would fist fight, and they would also talk a lot of shit to each other, talking about you touching on me when I was a kid, all this stuff, and it's like, holy shit, holy fuck, and it's crazy, man, it's crazy. I don't know. It would be enough to drive some people crazy, and make you do crazy things and violent things and stuff like that. And that's why I don't really, you don't know how somebody is just by looking at them, just because they look normal, just because they look healthy, just because they look like they're very strong-willed individuals doesn't mean that they are, You don't know what happened to them when they're growing up. You don't know some of the shit that they went through, that you don't know what kind of things that they were raised to, you know, and type of stuff that they put up with, you know. So, you know, if you had a pretty good life, you know, you got to count those blessings too. You know, you see these lives like that, and you think to yourself, you're like, damn, man, I'm pretty lucky that, you know, my life wasn't like that, and how tough like that at all, you know. And sometimes you see, like, people are like, oh, these guys are like monsters. How can they do that to people? You know, like, not protesters, but like random people on the internet where they're just like fucking pistol whipping people that come out of nowhere, point them out, knock them out, type games or something. And it's like they're a product of their environment, man. And that's what I talk about a lot. Like, I try to talk with Rob, you know, and address those things, because, you know, sometimes that's just how it is. That's life, you know. Those people, that's all they were subjected to, was that type of lifestyle of people not really giving a fuck, people not giving them expectations, people not helping them prioritize the correct things, because they were just there for themselves. They were just there to get high, to get drunk, to, you know, get theirs, you know, and take advantage of people maybe, you know. You never know, because that's just life sometimes for some people. And no matter how much power you try to give the government or any entity over you, it's not going to amount to nothing, you know, except for more rules for you, obviously. But for a way of being raised and raising people that want to prioritize an education and do more, it's not. So that comes down to the individual families, to the mothers, fathers, the grandparents, all that comes down to them and how they choose to help the next individuals grow up and become successful and think and, you know, be better in their own lives. So I think I'm going to conclude this ramble here. So I hope you guys had a great one. If you like this content, please consider hitting that like and subscribe button. As always, if you had any kind of story you ever want to share, feel free to hit me up at cloudslayer53@gmail.com, and you can get a podcast going, or you can just talk to me. So thank you for listening. Have a great one. Peace.